Hey everybody, it's Michael from Replica Airguns with another Q&A video here. Kids aren't here just yet. Hopefully they don't show up while I'm making the video. Pretty soon they're going to be attacking me here in the pool. But anyway, so we're going to do a quick video, Q&A. I'm going to cover a few topics. These are just questions I seem to get a lot of. I'm not going to specify exactly who asked them because they kind of get asked over and over again. So I've got 4 things I want to talk about. Excuse me, got a little bit of a cold. Anyways, first one, kind of a very common one on YouTube and Facebook, and this is sort of a common thing. I think people are approaching businesses asking about orders and things like that. And I'll kind of let you know sort of what I do here. I don't handle any of the orders. I don't have access to your order information. A long time ago I used to do that. I used to kind of do everything, but it kind of outgrew me. And so I had to sort of specialize and do what I do best, which is make these videos, post the articles, take the pictures, and I do the editing, all that kind of stuff. I do a lot of the social media, and yeah, of course, sometimes you guys feel like maybe your questions aren't getting asked quick enough when you send order or questions to the orders department or whatever, you're sending an email to in reply to an order that you have. Sometimes I think some of you just need to give it a little bit more time because these things do take a little bit of time. It may feel like you're the only person ordering stuff, but especially after a long weekend, we have to go through quite a few email, and it does take a little bit to catch up. Don't mind the plane. So for instance, I'll get an email, hey, what's up? I ordered 3 days ago. I haven't heard anything. I don't have a tracking number. What's going on with my order? So I'll say, hey, when did you order? And they'll say like, oh, I ordered Friday night, probably 7 o'clock or whatever. Or if they give me that, they'll say Friday, and I'll say, okay, what time Friday? Because you're just kind of curious. And they'll say, oh, later in the evening Friday. Well, the truth of the matter is nobody's there to look at your email at that point. They've gone home for the weekend. So Friday night, nobody's going to see your order. No one's going to see it Saturday. No one's going to see it Sunday. And Monday morning, we got to take care of all those orders Monday morning. So there's a bit of catch up that happens, right? And so we say 1 to 3 days, and the reason we say 1 to 3 days is we have to take into account things like holiday weekends and whatnot, and give us some time, right? So 1 to 3 business days. Got to play some catch up. You might not see your order go out till Wednesday because of the long weekend or the weekend, and if we had a lot of orders, and so that's just normal business activity. And if it's been a while, if say you ordered on a Monday and it's midweek and you haven't heard anything and you're a little curious, best thing to do is send your emails to orders@replicaAirguns.com. So that's orders@replicaAirguns.com. Ask them. Again, if you're not hearing back from them in a timely manner, and good 24, sometimes even 48 hours it takes to get back to you guys, depends on what's going on. But if you haven't heard back, then yeah, definitely approach me and I'll see what I can do. I can usually shoot an email to those guys, say, hey, can you check out this person? But also, when you are sending emails to the orders department, give them some information about yourself. Like, a lot of times the name that you use on YouTube or Facebook has nothing to do with your real name or the name you use to order the product, right? So you need to give them your order number, the name that you use to order the product, and even the email that you use to order the product so they can track down your order. All right, so moving on. A lot of maintenance questions related to air guns, and how often should I oil? How often should I take my gun apart and clean it all out and all these things? Well, for the most part, air guns in general don't really require a whole lot of maintenance other than potentially running some Pel gun oil or the CO2s that have the lubrication in them once in a while. You don't need to put it on every cartridge. Maybe every 1 out of 3 cartridges put some Pel gun oil on there, because it's like a lot of things. If you over oil or over grease up anything, it's going to attract dirt. And even though there's really not a lot of dirt going on because there's no gunpowder, dirt, dust, and things will attract to oils over time. So less oil is actually sometimes better as long as there's enough to get the job done. So don't over oil. You don't need to rip your gun apart and clean it out. Unless it's easy to do, like a lot of these blowback guns, you can take them apart and clean them out. But again, don't over oil them, and you don't need to do it very often. There is no gunpowder. The CO2 is actually, with the BBs and whatnot, is going to clear a lot of that out. Now with lead pellet guns and rifles, it's not a bad idea to use like a wire brush going through the barrel just to clean the barrel rifling out every once in a while. That's not a bad idea if you have a rifled barrel and you're using lead pellets. But with steel BBs, especially if you're not using the copper coated BBs. And the reason I say that is because the copper coated BBs, especially as they get older, tend to get rust like. They actually have a rust like look, and if you look at them, they look, instead of being shiny, they'll become tarnished, and that brown tarnish will come off, and if you have it in a container, that container will be full of like a brown dust. That gets in your gun. I just don't recommend copper coated BBs at all. So try and use zinc coated BBs. They don't do that. All right. Another question I have is, is feet per second with plinkers. And what I mean by plinkers are guns that are not meant for hunting, BB guns, semi-auto action shooters. I can't talk today. Semi-auto action shooters. So, your blowback guns that shoot, generally speaking, they shoot between 300 and 400 feet per second. People are always saying, oh, I want the fastest, most powerful blowback BB pistol. The fastest, most powerful blowback BB pistol in general, if you're lucky, is going to maybe hit in the low to high 400s. Very few will get above that in a blowback BB pistol. Even 500 feet per second, what is that going to do for you in a BB gun? I would never recommend a BB gun for pest control or anything like that. Sure, the BB gets to the target slightly quicker. Maybe it's going to make a little more rattle noise when it hits it. Maybe it'll penetrate cans a little bit better. But to be honest, even a BB gun shooting 300 feet per second is perfectly fine shooting at ranges to even 30 to 40 feet away. And, it'll go straight through a pop can. So in terms of shooting targets and plinking, 300 FPS is just fine, right? You're not killing anything with it. You don't need to shoot anything humanely with it. Even 500 feet per second in an air BB pistol, in my opinion, is just not going to get the job done. Would be inhumane to shoot anything with that. So what's the point? What is the difference between 300, 400, 500 FPS when you're just plinking, right? That's just my opinion on it. I guess people just want that power, but it really isn't going to substantiate to anything much more for you in terms of target and plinking. Okay, shipping outside Canada. Every day I get people from all over the world, and I'm flattered by it. People wanting to order from us. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I get people asking me to ship to India, China, the UK all the time, and we just don't do it because of all the different laws, importation laws and all those things. We did ship at one point. We tried it. We tried taking like money transfers and things like that, and to secure a payment, because the problem is PayPal that will not, if the customer doesn't get the product, then basically the responsibility goes back to the company that sent it. And if the product gets confiscated in customs, we lose it. We're out the product. Customer gets the money back. Not cool, right? So why would we want to risk that when we know that there's a possibility that it could get confiscated? Even if we tell the customer, look, your gun could get confiscated because we don't know your laws, and we're going to send it in good faith. We still had people, generally speaking, through PayPal saying, hey, I didn't get the product, I want my money back, even after we had an agreement that wasn't going to happen. So we went to money transfers, but we just found that it just wasn't consistent. Too many places were getting items confiscated. There was just too many hassles, and we didn't want to go down that road. So it's something we just don't do. We don't even ship cross-border here, Canada to the US and US to Canada, for similar reasons, because now they don't generally flat out confiscate the product, but they'll just return it to the sender. So you're out your postage. Customer's not happy because they paid for the item. They were hoping to get it. They wait 2 weeks or whatever and find out in the end that the product was returned back to us, and it's just not really a good situation. So we ship from our Canada store to Canada only. We ship from our US store to the US only, again because of problems with customs, and it's just too inconsistent, and we just don't feel right about doing it that way. All right. So hopefully this answers some more questions for you guys here over at Replica Airguns, and I'll try and make these videos again weekly, some sort of Q&A video weekly if I can. Again, get your questions in. You can put them in the comment sections to any of these Q&A videos, and I'll do my best to answer them over time. I don't answer them all, but I try to get to the ones that seem to come up often. All right, thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.